My mother told me that my father abandoned me and I grew up resenting him, but I just overheard how she's bragging about keeping him out of my life. Now I want nothing to do with her. I grew up with a single mom. Growing up I was always told my father abandoned me. It happened when I was around 10 when I asked my mom about my dad and she told me straight he abandoned me. I cried so much that day it's not a joke. As I grew older I hated him even though I never met him. I thought about if he came back I would scream at him, ruin him, attack him for leaving. Last week my mom and I was at her friend's house. I went along because I'm friends with her friend's daughter. Well, fast forward. I came downstairs and heard say my name. She revealed my dad's name and said, "It's easy to keep a father out of a kid's life like what I did with Lena's, father after I found out he cheated on me." She was also talking about how pathetic he looked when he pleaded with her to stay in my life. She also added how she used his old drug addiction against him in court. So from how I understand he was sober before I was born. I made contact with my bio dad as soon as we got home. The next morning I got a reply. He asked for my number so we can talk. The first thing my dad said when he called was apologize. He told me it's all his fault. After talking with him for a while I told I'd love to have a relationship with him. He lives not far from our city, a 2-hour drive. As for my mom, she is at work. I sent her a text telling her about what I heard and I'll be cutting off contact with her for a while and probably forever. Edit. I inherited my uncle's house after he died and that is when mom started acting weird. She believed that the house belonged her and fought with my grandfather over, but he put his foot down and told her it's my house. Secondly, when I turned 18 and moved into the house my mom came along. I didn't want to live with her again but she told she'll cut off my college fund. Well, now my grandpa told me he'll pay for my college. Also more about my mom. When my parents split up my grandfather told her he doesn't support her decision to keep my father out of my life. But she told him then he will never see either. Also my mom acts like my house belongs to her and always told me technical it's my house and should have been given to me. Edit 2. Another thing, my father quit illegal substances long before he met her. I confessed to this also. I was told by my grandpa not long after telling my mom she is no longer in my house that my dad loved me with all his heart when I was only a couple of months old. Apparently my dad almost made it impossible for other to hold me. Next thing is that my dad did confess to cheating. I already asked my mom to explain her side and she said was yes, he did quit illegal substances long before he met her. However, that's about it so far. All she wants is for me to forgive her. I did ask my dad for his side. He hasn't replied yet but he told me he'll call me later. Update. So I met up with my dad at a restaurant today. He thought it would be better to talk in person. I was shocked when I saw him. He looks to be in great shape, however I could tell he was crying. When I approached him he pulled me into a hug and apologized a few more times for not being there and that he really wants to fix while he has a chance. We started talking and there was much more to the story than my dad just being a cheater. So here it goes. During my mom's pregnancy, she constantly put my dad down. Like she would tell him, "You should be happy you're with me and not some unimportant bitch, or you're not good enough for me. I'm just with you for the sake of our child." My dad said that he thought it was just her pregnancy hormones, but then it got worse after I was born. Her ego was through the roof, but what really took the cake was when I said, "It's such shame my daughter will probably grow up to be a failure like her father." I was taken aback by this. I asked my dad if that's the reason he cheated and he said no, he should have just called off the wedding, but instead he cheated. He apologized a few more times and told me he loves me and that he never forgot about me, and that when I texted him for the first time he couldn't believe it was me until he saw my profile picture. We both cried for a while until our breakfast arrived. Now on to my mom. I just want to add my mom started threatening me after I told her she is getting evicted, but at first it went from pathetic apologies to full-on threats. She told she'll ruin me if I abandon her, make sure I lose everything. Anyways, after speaking to my dad I wanted to see if my mom will confirm it. And she did, no shame. She admitted it like it was a effing achievement with no remorse, may I add. Then she went back to sweet talks and back threatening me. Someone told me I should see if I can forgive her and probably not go NC. After today I doubt I want anything to do with her. I also think she's the one who told all my ex-boyfriends that they're not good enough because they all broke up with me shortly after meeting her without any explanation. I'm done with her. My grandpa told me he'll help me with the eviction and possibly a restraining due to the threats. I am going to visit my dad as soon as she's out of the house.